I'm Bill Eddins, and thanks for joining me for this Note to Live story concert. I'm here backstage in Orchestra Hall. This is where the musicians warm up before they go on stage to perform. This is also one of my favorite places to be because of all the great sounds that can be created back here. As a conductor, I think listening to an orchestra is like listening to someone telling you a wonderful story. Only that story is told by the sounds of the instruments. Imagine what happens when you take this wonderful music and you add words and pictures to it. You get a Note to Live story concert. Now we're going to both hear and see one of my favorite stories come to life. On the Day You Were Born is about you, it's about me, it's about every one of us on this planet. You know, we all have a very special story about the day that we were born. I remember my parents telling me about the day that I arrived. It was a beautiful, cold, snowy December morning. Now, what really makes this version of On the Day You Were Born special is the way the music and the animation come together to tell you this story in a way you've never seen it before. As author Deborah Fraser reads, see how the animation brings the pages of her book alive. Hear how the music also tells the story. Listen for the way it changes. Like when composer Steve Heitzig takes you from the powerful sun scene to the quiet moon that follows. And later on, you'll get to see how author Deborah Fraser and composer Steve Heitzig created On the Day You Were Born. So join us now as author Deborah Fraser narrates and the Minnesota Orchestra performs On the Day You Were Born.
On the eve of your birth, word of your coming passed from animal to animal. The reindeer told the Arctic terns, who told the humpback whales, who told the Pacific salmon, who told the monarch butterflies, who told the green turtles, who told the European eel, who told the busy garden warblers. And the marvelous news migrated worldwide. While you waited in darkness, tiny knees curled to chin, the earth and her creatures with the sun and the moon all moved in their places, each ready to greet you the very first moment of the very first day you arrived. On the day you were born, the round planet Earth turned toward your morning sky, whirling past darkness, spinning the night into light. On the day you were born, gravity's strong pull held you to the earth with a promise that you would never float away. While deep in space, the burning sun sent up towering flames, lighting your sky from dawn until dusk. On the day you were born, the quiet moon glowed and offered to bring a full, bright face each month to your windowsill. While high above the North Pole, Polaris, the glittering North Star, stood still, shining silver light into your night sky. On the day you were born, the moon pulled on the ocean below, and wave by wave, a rising tide washed the beaches clean for your footprints. While far out at sea, clouds swelled with water drops, sailed to shore on a wind, and rained you a welcome across the earth's green lands. On the day you were born, a forest of tall trees collected the sun's light in their leaves, where, in silent mystery, they made oxygen for you to breathe. While close to your skin and as high as the sky, air rushed in and blew about, invisibly protecting you and all living things on Earth. day you were born, the earth turned. The moon pulled. The sun flared. And then, with a push, you slipped out of the dark quiet, where suddenly you could hear a circle of people singing with voices familiar and clear. Welcome to the spinning world, the people sang, as they washed your new tiny hands. Welcome to the green earth, the people sang, as they wrapped your wet, slippery body. And as they held you close, they whispered into your open, curving ear. We are so glad you've come.
And that was on the day you were born. Have you ever wondered how the author came up with the idea for this book? Or how the composer wrote such great music which goes so well with the story? Well, I've wondered that too. And here's our chance to find out. Author Deborah Fraser and composer Steve Heitzig are going to show us how they created On the Day You Were Born.
I was born in this little town on the Atlantic Ocean in Florida, and I grew up in this house that sits right next to the sea. We would walk down to the beach every day looking for things, and we'd bring them back here to this porch. As you walk along, you can see the skulls from sea turtles that have washed in. You can see bits of driftwood and all kinds of shells. When I was a kid growing up here, my brothers and sisters and I would want to get in the ocean so quickly in the mornings that we would, the night before, put our bathing suits on underneath our pajamas, and then when we woke up in the morning, take off our pajamas and run streaking down to the ocean to be in as quick as could be. All the years I've lived here, we've had a tiki shack, which is a little hut that's thatched with palmetto, and it's shady in here. You come in, can get out of the hot sun, and I've done most of the writing for my book, some piece of it right here, where I can sit and be quiet and look out and see the Atlantic. Growing up here, every morning I would look out and see this great semicircle that sweeps across the ocean. It's the curve of the earth. And as I got older, I came to understand that this little piece of the semicircle fit with other pieces of the semicircle until the whole thing makes the huge circle that we know as the planet Earth. On the Day You Were Born was a place where I could talk about all the things I experienced as a child, and whether it was as simple as footprints in the sand, that's something I knew, so I could write about it, or the way leaves stretch out and catch the sun, and rain sweeping across the ocean in these huge clouds that would come surging up across the horizon. Well, all of those are in On the Day You Were Born, so how could I separate where I was born from what that story became? See, a lot of people don't notice that there's a slight difference between the front cover of the book and the back cover. And if you look closely, you can see that it changes ever so slightly. The thinking being that by the time you finish the book, the world had turned around and you see the continents on the opposite side of the planet.
Of course, because there's the Americas and Africa. And of course, Deborah, how'd you come up with the idea for this book?
Well, I'd have to say it's an idea that found me. I had a very difficult pregnancy with my one and only child. And in the middle of that, I had to spend a lot of time in the hospital. And I just started to write down the things that would get my child here. And I was in a place where I could just think of the biggest things. I'd been quiet for so long, so I thought of the sun and the moon and all these things that would welcome her if she would just get here. And the good news of this is that she was born safe and sound.
Wow, I've never seen this one before.
Well, no one really has. This is the early gravity test, and I go through so many tests to get to a final picture. You can see.
That's changed a lot.
Yes, it has.
Did you always want to be a writer? Or
I'd always wanted to make a picture book. But the making of a book is a very long process. I mean, I spent about 2 years working on it, taking first those ideas and then pulling them, because I'm the kind of person that I write and I write and I write, and the next day I look at it and only 3 words are any good, and I throw the other 100 away and I start writing again. But when you think that a book is this small, and half of it is pictures, and it took 2 years to make.
So now you've got all these great pictures that you put together. How do you feel about them being animated?
Well, I'd have to say that this book was a book, and then it became a piece of music, and the music helped me see how to move them. Because as I listen to the music, I can see how that caribou would leap across the edge of the earth, and I could see the earth spinning in space as I listened to the music.
Was it fun working with Steve as a composer?
Well, he has a marvelous ability to be able to look deeply into a picture and then hear it begin to move and hear the real world come back.
I was thrilled to get to work with Deborah and to work with the book. When I would compose, I would work with the various colors of the book and the shapes. And to me, the shapes and images in the book were, to me, notes. You have a great line in here saying the quiet moon, and I wanted to have that gesture rhythm portrayed in the music, so you will hear the the quiet moon. And then as it builds, then it's like the moon and the person or the other species are talking back with each other. So I'll just play part of that for you.
What about these instruments that you created for like on the day you were born?
My thing is that I feel that nature is music, music is nature, and that there's no difference. This is a birch bark wind chime, and this was also for the piece about ravens and crows, and this is very subtle.
Very quiet. And this is something familiar.
Yes, llama hooves that were included in the percussion section in On the Day You Were Born. In Deborah's book, each page to me is like a celebration of each element in nature. And looking at the animal migration page, which was one of my favorite pages, there I wanted the full rush of all the animals moving, so full orchestra sound. In thinking about the animals as a child growing up and still my love for animals, I really wanted to write music that celebrated their actual sounds and lives and to have it sonically as close to the actual animal sounds. Growing up out on the farm is a great sense of freedom, open spaces, just the opportunity and the privilege to be with nature and the natural sounds and the beauty, the way that it really is meant to be.
I hope when children hear the story and hear the music that they feel their place on the earth. And I hope parents, when they hear the story and hear the music, that they also feel their place on the earth, but also how special our children are, each and every one of them.
You know, the message I got from talking to Deborah and Steve is that you should always go for your dreams. So if you've got a story up here, or if you've got some music right here, write it down. Share it with a friend. Who knows where it may lead? So that's it for now. We're looking forward to seeing you for our next Notes Alive story concert. I'm Bill Eddins. See you soon.